Hey everyone, this is Derek. In this video we're going to look at some different notations for writing answers that happen in an interval. We're going to look at inequality, set builder, which is kind of a fancy version of inequality, and then also interval notation, which we'll use a bit. So inequality, that's our greater thans and less thans, and greater than equal to and less than equal to. Set builder, it's the same as inequality, but we get this set notation around it and this line. The set builder notation, this reads the set of x such that. So the set of x and then such that x is greater than or equal to 5. So it's really just kind of a fancier version of this. Interval notation, so the way interval notation works, if we think of a graph of x is greater than or equal to 5, so we'll just call that 5. Greater than or equal to, we would use a solid dot, remember, and it would be going this way. So interval notation, we're saying it's going from 5 and then out to infinity. And that little symbol right there is infinity. Infinity, we can never get there. When we're not going to include something, we use a parenthesis. When we're going to include something, we use a bracket. So the 5 was included because it had an equals, so it gets a bracket. If it didn't have an equals, like this next one, x is less than 5. So if I were going to draw, here's 5, x less than 5, then I'd say this one is going to go from negative infinity, because we always go from small to large or left to right. So negative infinity up to 5. But this time I don't want to include the 5, so I use a parenthesis. So if I have a solid dot, bracket, open dot, parenthesis, or likewise, greater than, equal to, less than, equal to, or greater than, less than. So let's see, what did I miss as I did all that? This funny looking little, sort of looks like a sideways E symbol right here. I'll make that a little bit bigger. That means element. You might run into it occasionally, or member. It just means that in this case, like for all real numbers, X is a member of, then that capital R is our next symbol, means all real numbers. So here this is saying some value is a member of the set all real numbers. So some kind of fancy math stuff. In interval notation, we'll see that one a lot. We're going from negative infinity to positive infinity, if we want to say all real numbers. And then the other thing with interval notation is if we have a gap like this, we would use a union symbol, and that union, it looks like kind of a capital U without the tail on it. And union means or, so it's just a way of pasting together kind of two separate sets. So kind of putting all that together, let me show you what that would look like down here. For this one, if I was going to do this in interval notation, and that's what this is asking for. For interval notation, I'm going from 2, so I'll use a parenthesis there because it's an open dot, not included. And then it's going to go up to the 5. I use a bracket on that one. I'm jumping over kind of a gap here, so that's where I use a union. So it's this or this over here. Then we pick back up at 8, and then on off to positive infinity from there. And so that'd be our interval. If I wanted to write that in inequality notation, to me that's a lot harder. I would have to write it as 2 is less than x, and then the x is less than or equal to 5. So that would be a continued inequality. And so here we're saying the x is going to be bigger than 2, but less than 5. And then that would be or x is greater than 8. So to me, the interval notation is a lot easier, a lot cleaner, so I tend to use this one. For this next one, I'll just do interval. So from here, we would be going from negative infinity up to the 4. And the 4's got a solid dot, so we use a bracket. And then we have a gap, so that's where we do, oops, not a comma, a union. And then we have an open dot on the 6, so I use a parenthesis, and then 6 on out to infinity.